the whole, I wonder what you think of the asymmetry of American law enforcement trying to get back something that Trump thinks is his. Of course there's more. There's probably stuff shoved in his sock drawer, too.
And you're talking about the stuff that's stuffed in a sock drawer. I'm talking about the stuff that's in the hands of our adversaries that he's already given to people, that he's already, I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility, if not probability here. This whole narrative from the very moment this story broke, culminating to this point in Jackie's reporting, just tells you how beneath the surface of all of this, you have the law enforcement feature, you have the Justice Department, you have lawyers all doing their thing. And Donald Trump beneath the surface just going along and saying, these are mine, I can do what I want with them. And there's no matter how much you tell him that's not the case, he doesn't believe it, nor does he accept it. So that means, to me at least, there needs to be probably a more aggressive and broader review of what the possible storage places are, not just at Mar-a-Lago, in his New York place, the place here in Virginia, wherever Trump may have laid his head. You're bound to find a document or two at this point. So I think all of this just tells us that there's more going on here. There's going to be more discoveries. And unless those documents have already been dispensed with in some form or fashion, it really begs the question, what on earth made you think you would keep these documents in the first place? Why did you think you need them? And the only logical conclusion one can come to is, well, you had other plans for these documents, and that's going to require a whole nother level of conversation and discovery once we figure out that we've got everything, if we ever get everything.
Mary, I think there was a sense, because this court-approved search happened right at the end of the summer's public hearings for the January 6th Select Committee, where their intention was to put into the public arena all the evidence of Trump's criminality, culpability, and state of mind in terms of plotting to overturn the results of an election he lost. And this investigation was always presented as far more straightforward. What does it say that they're still looking? What does it indicate about the phase of the investigation that they're still dealing with Trump's legal team and still looking for classified material?
Yeah, well, I think, remember, ever since the beginning, there's been two pieces of this. There's been the criminal investigation to just, determine whether there's evidence sufficient to establish an actual Espionage Act violation for the mishandling of classified information or obstruction of an investigation. But there's also been the intelligence review. And I think that, what this shows is there is a continued nervousness among our national security officials that they have tabs on all the potential classified information that may be improperly stored, or, as Michael said, potentially even, be in the hands of adversaries. Now, I don't have anything, we haven't seen evidence of that yet, but I think when we still see the Justice Department coming back to the court, and the court they're coming back to is the chief judge here in the District of Columbia, where that subpoena, that May subpoena, was issued by a grand jury here in the District of Columbia. This is not a judge in Florida. When the Justice Department keeps coming back and asking her to press the Trump team to look more and to look more, and she is pressing them, to me that signals concern among our national security, infrastructure, that they are worried about where other documents might be. And so I think they're really trying to get to the bottom of this. And of course, that could also lead to additional evidence of the criminal charges, but they just can't be certain that they have gotten everything.
And Mary, that makes a whole lot of sense as part of the national security review, and there's now been enough time to perhaps pick up chatter from places and ask questions about where certain information comes from. And we don't know what we don't know on that front. But on the obstruction front, it's very clear that the lawyers now, I think it's Christina Bobb, who had some exposure for attesting to not having any classified documents. I mean, is some of this building out or further probing the obstruction case as well?
I think it certainly is, right? And it remains to be seen sort of what level of knowledge about what was in the storage unit, who had what level of knowledge about what was in the storage unit. So clearly, if GSA was involved with, that's the General Service Administration, a branch of the government, was involved with Trump's people in renting the storage unit for there to be certain documents from, I think it was from an office in Virginia, that leads one to think, okay, well, why was there ever anything in any classified information in an office in Virginia to begin with, right? Classified information has to be specially handled. And we know, we've now known for a long time that former President Trump, completely disregarded all of the carefully crafted, laws and regulations applicable to our national defense and our national secrets and classified information. And, we know he was aware of it. There's no way you could be the president and not be aware of it. We also know that his attorneys told him about it, yet still we see documents that apparently used to be in some office in Virginia, had no business being there, and now are in some storage unit in Florida. So I think, yes, a piece of this will also be what did he or those within his orbit know about this, and what was intentional, and was any of this done, intentionally to obstruct? That's unclear at this point. Mm-hmm. I also think that, Christina Bobb has, as you said, has got some culpability. And this firm that was hired, I would think they'd be trying to be very, very careful about how they do their search, right? So that they don't get themselves into legal jeopardy as well.
It's like the story that keeps repeating itself. All right, you're all sticking with us. When we come back, we'll turn to the panel tasked with investigating the deadly Capitol insurrection as it prepares one final blow to the architect of the plot. That would be Donald Trump, the disgraced ex-president, in the form of a blockbuster final report, including their criminal referrals. That story, that reporting is next.